Hey there, gaming enthusiasts. Welcome to Gaming Axia, your go-to source for all amazing games. Souls-like games don't just live in 3D. Over the years, we've seen some incredible 2D takes on the genre. From pixel art adventures to stylish Metroidvania mashups, these games prove you don't need full 3D to feel that same rush of challenge and reward. So today, we're counting down the 20 best 2D Souls-like games you can play right now. Well, what are we waiting for? Let's get started. On number 20, we have The Devil Within Satgat. This one comes from developer New Core Games, and wow, it instantly gave me heavy Bloodborne vibes, which is awesome because Bloodborne is one of my all-time favorites. So yeah, I was hooked right away. It's a fast, stylish 2D Souls-like where you play as Kim Rip, a royal guard who's out to destroy this creepy tower called the Eben Sting. The combat is where the game really shines. Kim Rip's swordplay feels fluid and satisfying. You've got ground slashes, air attacks, powerful charge swings, and a sweet parry system that lets you counter enemies with a flashy riposte if you time it right. I'll be honest, I spent a while just practicing parries because the timing is brutal, but once you nail it, it feels amazing. On number 19, we have Unworthy. This is one of those games that wears its Dark Souls influence right on its sleeve. You've got grim settings, cryptic storytelling, and combat that demands patience and precision. But here's the twist. It's a 2D platformer without jumping. Yep, you heard that right. The combat is where Unworthy really sets itself apart. Instead of a typical platformer jump button, you get a dodge roll. That means fights are all about timing, swinging your weapon at just the right moment, dodging perfectly, and managing your stamina. It feels closer to a 2D Dark Souls duel than your average action platformer. But here's the catch. There's basically one right way to beat every boss. If you don't get into the rhythm of the combat, the game won't cut you any slack. On number 18, we have Tales of Iron 2 Whiskers of Winter. Tales of Iron was one of the best surprises back in 2021, and honestly, its sequel, Whiskers of Winter, might be even better. Imagine a dark fantasy story that feels like a mix between Game of Thrones and The Witcher, but with rats, frogs, and all kinds of brutal combat. Sounds weird, right? But trust me, it works, and it works amazingly well. This time you play as Arlo, the new Warden of the Wastes. After your home gets wrecked by a terrifying new threat called the Dark Wings, it's up to you to fight back. What's wild is how invested you get in the characters, even though there's no real dialogue. Add in narration from Doug Cockle, the voice of Geralt from The Witcher, and suddenly everything feels epic.
Is the chance these brutal behemoths will attempt to flee, ready to fight another day. Gather your strength, chase them down, finish them.
On number 17, we have Dark Light. This is a game that blends Metroidvania with Souls-like and roguelite elements. At first, Dark Light feels like 2D Dark Souls. You've got a sword, a gun, a dodge, and not much else. The enemies hit hard, and death means losing your currency. But once you reach the first settlement, the game opens up with tons of upgrades, weapons, and abilities. Later, you even choose between two factions, which changes your story and unlocks a drone with its own massive skill tree. On top of that, the roguelite elements like random ability towers add variety to runs. It's a lot of systems, and sometimes it feels a bit bloated, but the loop of exploring, fighting, and upgrading is really addictive. On number 16, we have Eastern Exorcist. This game is something else. It's a 2D Souls-like set in a dark fantasy version of China, where you play as demon slayers fighting creepy monsters that crawl out of the shadows. What's really cool is that you get two main characters with their own stories, bosses, and playstyles. Lu Yunchuan is a stoic exorcist on a revenge journey, while Xiahao Shui is a half-demon searching for a cure for her brother. Both stories dive into some seriously dark and tragic themes. This isn't a cheerful game. It hits you with cruel, sometimes shocking tales that honestly reminded me of The Witcher's side quests. As for the combat, it's all about timing. You have strikes, dodges, and especially parries. Land them right and you'll feel like a total badass. Mess up and, well, let's just say the demons won't go easy on you. On number 15, we have Dark Devotion. This is one of those games that really, really wants you to know it's tough. It wants to sit alongside Dead Cells or Salt and Sanctuary as a brutal challenge, and honestly, it kind of does. The story? Yeah, don't expect much. But here's the thing, the gameplay is what keeps you hooked. At first, the controls feel a little awkward, attacks are slow, dodging has its own buttons, and you've got mechanics like praying to use your faith. It takes time to adjust, but once it clicks, combat becomes intense and rewarding. Add to that the game's amazing atmosphere. The pixel art is gorgeous, the lighting makes the temple feel oppressive and dangerous, and the bosses, while not the hardest you'll find, are fun and memorable. On number 14, we have Moonscars. This is a 2D Souls-like Metroidvania that puts you in the role of Grey Irma, a clay warrior created by the sculptor. She's basically immortal. When one body breaks, she just takes another. But the story behind it all is cryptic, sometimes to the point of being confusing. Characters come and go, spouting vague dialogue that doesn't always make sense, so don't expect a clear-cut narrative. What you will notice right away is the combat. It's brutal. Enemies attack from all sides, often at the same time, and the game leans heavily on parrying. When you nail a parry, it feels amazing, but the timing window is tiny. And when you're swarmed by multiple enemies, it can feel more frustrating than fun. On number 13, we have Tales of Iron. I've got to be honest, Tales of Iron really surprised me. On the surface, it looks like a hand-drawn indie game about rats and frogs, but once you start playing, you realize it's basically a brutal little Souls-like wrapped in a gorgeous storybook world. Now let's talk combat, and trust me, this is where the game shines. Every enemy has its own attack patterns, and you've got to learn when to block, parry, or dodge. Some attacks can be punished, some will one-shot you if you're not paying attention. It's tough, but super rewarding when you finally nail it. Plus, you've got different weapons and armor sets to experiment with, and each one works better depending on the type of enemy you're up against. On number 12, we have Vigil, the Longest Night. Let's start with the story and world. Vigil doesn't throw the narrative in your face. You piece it together through text boxes and NPCs, kind of like in Dark Souls. The setup is simple. There's a mysterious plague corrupting the land, and it's up to you, playing as Layla, to figure out what's really going on. It's not groundbreaking, but it sets the mood, and the dark folklore vibe really works. That said, the game isn't perfect. The controls can feel clunky at times, especially with movement tied to the joystick. But here's the thing. Once you get deeper in, Vigil really opens up. The world design improves, the choices you make can actually change the difficulty, and you even get multiple endings depending on your path. It's risky, ambitious, and while not everything lands, it does enough to keep you hooked. On number 11, we have Mandragora Whispers of the Witch Tree. From the moment you boot it up, the first thing that grabs you is the atmosphere. The hand-painted world is absolutely gorgeous. Every environment looks like it belongs in a twisted fairy tale. It's the kind of game where you stop mid-run just to admire the scenery before getting smacked in the face by some grotesque beast. On top of that, there's a lot of RPG depth here. You're not locked into just one playstyle. You can customize your character with different builds, abilities, and gear, which makes experimenting fun. Maybe you want to go in heavy with a massive weapon, or maybe you'd rather lean into magic. It's your choice. On number 10, we have Death's Gambit Afterlife. The story kicks off with you playing as Soren, a soldier who dies early on but gets bound by a contract with death. Instead of passing on, you're basically stuck fighting for him. Your mission is to take down powerful immortals and eventually destroy the source of immortality that's been causing chaos across the land. Not gonna lie, that sounds really cool. Now, gameplay-wise, this thing is no joke. You pick a class at the start, like warrior, assassin, or wizard, but the cool part is you're not locked in. You can mix and match weapons, learn skills, and build Soren into whatever kind of fighter you want. There's a deep skill tree, tons of abilities to unlock, and as you defeat bosses, you'll even gain new movement powers, like double jumps, glides, and stomps that break barriers. On number 9, we have Ender Magnolia Bloom in the Mist. This is the follow-up to Ender Lilies, and just like before, it drops you into a dark, broken world that's somehow both terrifying and beautiful. The art is absolutely gorgeous. Everything is hand-drawn, super detailed, and dripping with atmosphere. You play as Lilac, a new white-haired priestess wandering through a ruined land covered in toxic miasma. And just like Lily from the first game, you don't swing a sword yourself. Instead, you summon spirits of fallen warriors to fight for you. What makes Ender Magnolia great is how it blends emotional storytelling with beautiful visuals and challenging creative gameplay. It's not just about fighting monsters, it's about slowly uncovering the past, helping lost souls, and carrying the weight of a dying world. On number 8, we have Grime. This is one of those games that comes out of nowhere and completely surprises you. The first thing you'll notice is the world. It's weird, alien, and honestly kind of unsettling. Instead of your usual castles and forests, Grime throws you into a surreal, living world made of stone, flesh, and strange creatures. It feels bizarre, but in the best way possible, like you're exploring a nightmare that you can't look away from. As for the combat, it's heavy, precise, and built around one really cool mechanic: absorbing enemies. Instead of just killing them, you can parry and absorb their attacks, which not only feels satisfying, but also powers you up with new abilities. It keeps the fights tense because every battle is a chance to grow stronger. On number 7, we have Blasphemous 2. This game takes everything people loved about the first game and cranks it up even higher. If the original was dark, brutal, and unforgettable, the sequel is smoother, deeper, and even more stylish. The first thing you'll notice is how much better the gameplay feels. The combat is faster, more fluid, and now you get access to multiple weapons, each with its own unique playstyle. Whether you like heavy-hitting blades or fast combos, there's something here that fits how you want to play. And we can't talk about Blasphemous 2 without mentioning the art. The pixel art is jaw-dropping, even more detailed than the first game, and the enemy designs are some of the most disturbing and creative you'll see in any 2D game. On number 6, we have Hollow Knight. Now, I know this game is more of a Metroidvania, but it still has that Souls-like element in it. It's got that currency that will drop if you die, and the game definitely challenges you with its difficulty. Gameplay is where Hollow Knight really shines. The controls are super tight and responsive, making every jump, slash, and dodge feel satisfying. The combat starts simple, but gets deeper as you unlock new abilities and charms. The charm system especially is genius. It lets you customize your playstyle, whether you want more damage, faster healing, or crazy movement options. And of course, the bosses. Hollow Knight has some of the best boss fights in any Metroidvania. They are challenging, fast-paced, and push your skills to the limit. Every victory feels like a real accomplishment. On number 5, we have Ender Lilies' Quietus of the Nights. As a 2D Souls-like, this game atmosphere is beautiful. The world looks like a ruined fairy tale, dark, rainy, and broken, but also strangely captivating. The art style is hand-drawn and stunning, and the music adds this emotional weight that makes the game feel almost dreamlike. In this game, you play as Lily, a young priestess who isn't much of a fighter herself. Instead, she summons spirits of fallen warriors to protect her. That's what makes the combat so unique. You're not swinging the sword directly, but calling on knights, archers, and other spirits to fight for you. It feels fresh, and it opens up tons of ways to build your playstyle. On number 4, we have The Last Faith. This is one of those games that feels like a perfect love letter to both Dark Souls and Castlevania. The first thing that stands out is the atmosphere. The world is dripping with gothic vibes, cathedrals, crypts, blood-soaked streets, and creepy creatures around every corner. The pixel art is gorgeous, with detailed animations that make the game feel alive and brutal at the same time. Honestly, it's one of the best-looking dark 2D Souls-like out there. Gameplay is where the last faith shines. The combat feels heavy and satisfying, with a mix of melee weapons, ranged guns, and even spells. You can build your character however you want, go full strength with massive weapons, or lean into magic and ranged attacks. The flexibility makes replaying the game super rewarding. On number 3, we have Nine Sols. Imagine Sekiro in 2D. That's what Nine Sols is all about. Instead of just slashing away, the game is built around parries. Timing your deflects feels so satisfying, especially when you turn an enemy's attack against them. It's challenging, but it's the kind of challenge that makes you want to keep trying until you nail it. And once you get into that rhythm, it feels amazing. The bosses are another highlight. They're tough, stylish, and force you to master the parry system. Beating them feels like a real test of skill, and it gives you that same rush you'd get from a Souls-like victory. Not only that, the game instantly grabs you, not just because of its gameplay, but also because of its style and atmosphere. It's a mix of fast-paced combat, Metroidvania exploration, and some of the coolest hand-drawn visuals I've seen in a while. On number 2, we have Blasphemous. The game really stands out with its style. The pixel art is stunning, every frame feels like it belongs in a painting, and everything feels heavy, twisted, and almost religious in its tone. The game's world is filled with disturbing imagery, gothic architecture, and enemies that look straight out of a nightmare. For gameplay-wise, Blasphemous delivers. The combat is fast, weighty, and satisfying. You play as the penitent one, swinging your sword with precision, dodging attacks, and using special abilities to survive. Every encounter feels dangerous, whether it's a regular enemy or one of the game's incredible boss fights. And trust me, the bosses are insane, both in design and challenge. But wait, before we go to the number 1 on this list, I have some really exciting news. The long wait is finally over. Silksong is officially coming this September 4th, 2025. After 6 long years since its first reveal back in 2019, Team Cherry has finally confirmed the release date with a special announcement video. What started as a simple DLC for the original Hollow Knight grew into a full-blown sequel starring Hornet, and soon we'll finally get to play it. So yeah, get ready to take those clown masks off, guys. Silksong is real. On number 1, we have Salt and Sanctuary. This is the best 2D Souls-like hands down. It takes that dark, punishing style of Dark Souls and mixes it with Metroidvania exploration, and the result is something special. Right away, the game hooks you with its atmosphere. The art style looks hand-drawn, and while it's simple, it fits perfectly with the tone. Everything feels unsettling, and that's exactly what keeps you on edge. As for the combat, it got the usual stamina management, dodge rolls, and all the brutal boss fights you'd expect from a Souls-like. Every enemy feels like a threat, and every victory feels earned. On top of that, the game gives you a crazy amount of freedom with its build system. Want to be a sword-swinging knight, a magic user, or even mix both? The game lets you experiment and play your way. And there you have it, fellow gamers. Which game is your favorite? Did we miss one that deserves a spot on the list? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more epic gaming content, and ring that bell so you're always up to date on the latest and greatest games. Until next time, and happy gaming.